Welcome to Sharing Schoology, Primary Objective 3. Watch a video essay about Mr. Whalen's Schoology process. Alright, so when we log into Schoology, the first thing we see is a social media feed, and this is something that connects us with our students and also other teachers, depending on what professional development communities we may be a part of. I'm going to take you to my comprehensive world history class. This is where I start writing my lessons. When you create your own class, Schoology will give you by default 4 folders: tests and quizzes, files, links, discussion, and pages. You can see that I've added 2 extra folders down here, KQED Now and Silver Screen Histories. These are for other instructional activities, but mainly my lessons are here in the Pages folder. In the Pages folder, there's 3 units that are visible: Unit 0, 1, and 2, and there's 3 items that are hidden. The hidden items include previous lessons from different years. Our curriculum is new this year and a new textbook, so the old tricks don't match up exclusively with the new text, so I've had to go a little bit into some new territory. But I'm still keeping the stuff that I've done before right there so that I can draw from it and put that into lessons going into the future. If you are collaborating with colleagues in your own school or in other schools, you need to establish a set of norms for what goes into a lesson. Everybody has their own instructional style, but it's important to have a framework agreed upon for what you need in a lesson in order to share effectively. You can always modify after the fact when you get your own copy. So you want to develop a lesson plan template, and mine is based on the PGCPS DTA for social studies. So there's a place for standards, an inquiry or an objective, a warm-up, a teacher-led activity, a teacher-monitored activity, a student-led activity, and a closing assessment. Those are the basics for any lesson. Usually when you do a lesson, there's a homework assignment that accompanies it. So below my closing assessment, I've got a spot for the independent practice homework. Over the years, my students have asked me to give them a synopsis of what they were supposed to have learned by the end of a lesson. So I've got a spot here for, so what have we learned today? So if you accomplish the objective, you would know the things that are outlined in the bullets. Sometimes you'll find things on YouTube or other resources that you wish you could use in class, but you just didn't feel like you had time to. But it might be possible for a student to do it outside of class or as an alternative to what you're using for the main portion of the lesson. A good place to put that would be in the reteaching activity portion of your lesson plan. Student resources. This is something that was introduced to me by the Library and Media Center in my school, and I'm sure that your library media specialist probably has things that have been purchased exclusively for your school that are available online, and you can have your students connect to them just by placing links. And I've made buttons here. I can show you how to do that in a later video. When you click on it, it'll take you to that resource, and you just provide the login information and you can go from Schoology directly to that secondary source. In order to meet students with specific learning needs with IEPs and 504s, I've got a spot for differentiated instruction materials. This is the base, but it's not the limit of what I do. This is a link to an outside document, and this document has a KWL chart. You can use that basically for any lesson, and instructions on where to find a graphic organizer specific to the reading of a given lesson in the textbook that a student can do to accumulate either additional or alternative replacement points in a lesson, depending on what you want to do with it. I also have Google Translate for English language learners, and for students with verbatim accommodations, they can click here and cut and paste information into a box on this website, and it will read it to them directly. Literacy is the focus for PGCPS this year, and we have a pre-test and a post-test in world history the students have to pass. This is the rubric that we are using to evaluate students' writing on the pre-test and the post-test, and so I've included that at the bottom of every lesson to emphasize that level of scrutiny. So I'd like to take you now for my lesson template to a sample lesson here. So I'm going to click on Pages, where my lessons are stored. I'm going to go to Unit 1, previous lesson, and use Unit 1, Lesson C as my example. So at the top of my lesson, I have a link to a timer to help keep the class on time, the curriculum to help me more easily plan. I've got a link to the World History textbook online site, and that is meant to support students in their reading if they didn't bring their book or if they need to do an activity associated with that website. And also there's a complimentary World History online course that was developed by MSDE that students can access by clicking on this button here. So we've got our objective, discussing the rise and fall of empires and the types of sources students are going to be learning from. The warm-up activity, in our school we do drop everything and read, so it's 15 minutes of sustained silent reading followed by park-style text-dependent questions to support the literacy focus in Prince George's County Public Schools and to prepare our students for park exams. So you'll see that Book 1 of Meditations is lit up here because it's a link. So students using their electronic devices will click on the link and go to a website that has Book 1, and they'll start reading it. While they're reading it, I'm projecting these questions here, and for a few minutes, I'm going to show them this video. So this is from the movie Gladiator, and many of the students may have seen that film. And there's a scene in it when Russell Crowe's character, who's a general, later falls from grace and becomes a gladiator, is having a discussion with the author of the text they're reading. And so between this example and also a link here about social class, it's supposed to give students a clue about the intent of the author after they discern the main idea and the tone. How does who the person is shape the way that they see the world? And so the reason I'm asking them to read Book 1 of Marcus Aurelius' Meditations is because he's an emperor of Rome towards the end of its history, and the focus is about the rise and fall of empires. We're going to look at 2 in this lesson. So instead of lecturing for 10 or 15 minutes or having them copy notes, I'm going to show them crash course world history. John Green and his crew do a great job summarizing and illustrating important points in historical processes. So I love using his resources. Students have to write down 10 things from the film. And then what are they going to do with that information? Think, pair, share. They're going to share what they've learned with somebody else in the room and discuss the similarities and differences, and then apply that to develop an anticipatory set of factors they think will affect another empire from the same time period in history, but on the other side of the world. That would be the Han Dynasty in China. And so once they develop these expectations for what kind of factors they expect will lead to the fall of the Han Dynasty, they have a video, a quick one that talks about comparative factors in the Roman Empire and the Han Empire, so they can see if their anticipatory set was correct or not. In case the secondary sources or the primary and the secondary sources were insufficient to help them accomplish their objective, they've got in the student-led activity a text-based activity that they can complete in order to give them more background knowledge before they attempt the closing assessment. So the closing assessment has some choices there. They can answer 3 out of the 4 following questions with at least 2 paragraphs. And depending on their choice, they're going to discuss various parts of what the learning objective is meant to accomplish. So answering 3 out of 4 will certainly demonstrate whether they've accomplished the objective or not. Following that is the independent practice and homework, and this relates to the next lesson. So they need to do that in anticipation of the next lesson. For the students who need things spelled out for them, so what have we learned today? These are the explicit tidbits, sound bites that they should have absorbed, and also, of course, they can use. So what have we learned today to help them answer some of the questions in the closing assessment if they are willing and able to scroll down to the bottom. The reteaching and review activity directs students to continue watching the Rise and Fall of Empires playlist, which is in the teacher-led activity. So if they let the videos continue, they will see other videos about Rise and Fall of Empires, so help support them. The differentiated instructional materials are available here with students with special needs and also English language learners. And then, of course, you got the rubric at the bottom to encourage them to write at this high level of diction and precision so that they can be prepared for that assessment at the end and also the coming PARCC exams.